Isolde's story is shrouded in tragedy. Required from birth to be perfect, she had to use her arcane powers to perform operas. She couldn't reach the same height as her mother, crowned the opera queen from previous generation. And the pressure eventually became too much for her mental health. Welcome to Isolde's Build Guide. Isolde is a powerful spirit arcanist specialized in burn application, buffing allies and debuffing the enemy. She's a very good support DPS that can deal a decent amount of damage while keeping the enemies under control. Despite her lack of crowd control, Isolde makes sure that the enemies won't survive long enough to be a threat. Let's go ahead and check her kit. To understand her kit fully, we must first know about her insight. Insight 1 introduces two of the three statuses that Isolde can be in: Prelude, Interlude and Finale. They're all permanent and they evolve with hit stacks. When starting battle, she enters Prelude and applies 3 stacks of burn to all enemies. Prelude grants 3 stacks of pre-ignition to all allies. Pre-ignition is a buff. For each stack, inflicts 1 burn on the target. Once applied, pre-ignition wears off. When an enemy is afflicted by burn, at the end of the turn they take damage from it, and the current burn stacks on it gets halved. That number of lost stacks gets converted into Isolde's heat. Once Isolde reaches 15 stacks of heat, her Prelude status changes into Interlude. Interlude is a leveled up version of Prelude. On top of giving pre-ignition, when an enemy burn stacks reach 6 or higher, she automatically casts Intermezzo as extra attack. Intermezzo is a mass reality attack that scales with every burn stack the enemy has, gaining 10% damage each. This is one of the reasons why Isolde can dish out some surprising damage. Insight 2 is just an attack increase, but Insight 3 is when she gains her last stage, Finale. Remember the heat stacks? When she reaches 40, the Interlude status becomes Finale. This status is an even stronger version of Interlude. Besides pre-ignition, it now grants 1 stack of Power Burst to all allies as well, which is 1 stack of 25% damage bonus when attacking. This status still casts Intermezzo when the enemy burn reaches 6 or more stacks, but it now also gains a 15% might on the attack. Isolde Insight might sound complicated at first, but in the end is just a progressively increasing buff on her, with allies being able to apply burn and occasionally extra attacks. With time, she will become really easy to play. Now that we know how she works, let's move on to her skills. Her main skills are Twirling Melody and Desired Freedom, both debuffs. Twirling Melody is a mass attack that deals reality damage to 2 enemies. It inflicts 2 stacks of burn. If Isolde is an Interlude, this skill also gains 30% penetration, while in Finale state, the penetration further increases to 50%. Desired Freedom is the second skill. It's a mass debuff that inflicts critical defense minus 25% and reality defense 15%, raising to 20 if the enemy is burning. This is applied to all enemies for 2 turns. Her ultimate is Choking on Blood. Another debuff. Inflicts 5 stacks of burn to all enemies and additional 5 on the main target. Grants 1 stack of Rousing Morale to all allies, and casts Intermezzo as a follow-up attack. For every excess stack of burn on the main target, Intermezzo deals 15% more damage. Isolde is already a complete unit, but if you want to take her kit to the next level, P2 is the most value. lowering the threshold of burn required to transition from prelude, interlude, and finale. The other portraits only give more damage to her intermezzo and twirling melody, so it's up to your budget and planning to decide if it's worth. When it comes to team building, Isolde being Spirit makes it really easy to theoretically use her in any team, a bit like Six. And thanks to her pre-ignition party application, any team that is able to hit the enemy in any way can contribute to her inside stance progression. That said, obviously, the reason why Isolde is so valuable is primarily due to burn. Spatodia's kit requires the enemy to have 15 or more stacks, which is either hard or long to achieve with her alone. This is where Isolde comes in. Thanks to her constant burning and pre-ignition, reaching and keeping the 15 stacks becomes way easier, thus letting Spatodia focus more on doing damage instead of pre-buffing. Isolde's resonance should be focusing on maximizing the damage she does with a crit build. But if you feel like she's not surviving well enough, you can opt for a more defensive build. Isolde will get her own Psychube Knock on the Door from the 1.7 story shop. It's free and everybody can get it. It helps her dealing more damage if the enemy is in the burn status and increases the might of her intermezzo attack. Overall, Isolde is one of those characters that are worth pulling for regardless of Spatodia, thanks to her enabling everyone's burn application and reality debuffs, but if you do have Spatodia, then she becomes a must pull. That is it for this guide, hope it was clear enough. In case you still have some questions, leave a comment below or come ask me on stream on twitch.tv/Jakazin. Thank you for watching and see you next time.